You could put an animated coffin within an animated coffin with a groaning mummy on the inside. You could.
So today we have a cool, spooky treat. We've got the Adventure Atlas for the Mortuary, a new supplement that explores an infamous location in the city of Sigil and gives you the lore, new monsters, encounter tables, maps, and inspiration to create your own adventures. And here to join me to look through it is Jasmine.
Yeah, I love the Mortuary. I think it has a lot of flexibility, which is what I like the most about it. It could fit into a lot of different kinds of existing games. It could be a kickoff point for hopefully a new long-term campaign. Who knows? It's got challenges for a lot of different levels and just has a lot of fun little things if you want to get into like the Halloween mood.
So as a DM, if I'm used to just homebrewing everything and I'm like, I like this, but I don't know what to do. Can you tell me how you would go about using the pieces that are in this to put together something?
Yeah, I love that you asked this question because I think homebrewing isn't always cooking up things from scratch. Sometimes it's creating a Franken adventure off of what's already on the shelves and kind of making those pieces your own. And I think the maps in the Mortuary are fantastic. Technically, you could take them out of, the Sigil setting if you wanted to and use them in dungeons you've already created. I love the random encounter tables. I think that's super fun. And the monsters are really kind of unique and scary, and you can definitely have them make an appearance maybe on a Halloween special if you're playing D&D on Halloween. But I also think like outside of that, the faction, the Heralds of Dust, are very interesting and could be an ally or an antagonist in an existing campaign. You could definitely port them over and kind of have them be their own unique entity within a world you've already created.
Is there a specific encounter table that you were like, oh, this one's got some cool stuff?
I liked all of them because they're level balanced. But my favorite one was definitely from levels 5 to 10, the Mortuary encounters. I just think that it's that perfect level where the things that happen are kind of campy and ridiculous, but still pose a challenging threat to the players. I really like the one of the 20 skeletons that are parading down the hall. And if you join them, they're friendly, but if you don't, or if you try to disrupt them in any way, they'll attack you. I think that's so much fun because it's one of those things where I feel like it really rewards players for role play. And a lot of the encounters are like that. For players that want to fight everything, you can. And for players that are like, actually, no, I think I would help, the Githyanki carry this member of their team to their final resting place. They get rewarded, and there's so many opportunities for not only role play but combat. And as somebody who enjoys both, these encounter tables are full of great stuff. My favorite part of the Adventure Atlas is actually the different services that the Heralds of Dust provide, because I think this would be a great way to tie into an existing campaign. Like maybe somebody from your party needs a very rare spell component to cast a spell that you need to kill your current big bad. This is a fun little side quest. Maybe to get that grisly, eye of newt or whatever it is for this potion, they need to go to the Mortuary and deal with the Heralds of Dust, but getting in isn't so easy if you haven't curried favor with them already. And you might need to sneak in. On top of that, they also sell lots of poisons. Maybe you want to poison the big bad in your campaign. There's ways for you to wheel and deal with them. They also provide spellcasting services. And I think that's what's really fun about the Heralds of Dust is they're not really bad. They just have a very sort of narrow idea of what death and living is. And they think everyone is dead. And, sometimes bad things can come from that belief. But overall, they're willing to wheel and deal with the right folks.
that's such a perfect expression of a thing we get across Planescape, which you don't need the Planescape set to play this, but I feel like you can see the fruitfulness of those ideas here, where it's like all of the factions, they just have a point of view.
Yeah.
You know, you might agree with it today, it might be in your way today, but it's just how they see the world, and that's going to have some consequences.
And if you have a Domain of Death cleric in your party, they might love.
They're like, I'm staying. It's good here.
Yeah, they might be like, I've found home,
Let's say your party has heard about the place they can get the item or the spellcasting service that they need, and that is going to lead them into this. What's one of the locations that you might take them through?
Oh gosh, I think I would want to take them through the sorting tubes. There's this really fun laundry sorting system for the corpses coming into Mortuary. And I feel like I would really want to subject my players to that, either by forcing them to travel through it or forcing them to navigate it in some way. It's one of like the corpse receiving and shipping. If you take a look at this map, it's just, it's a lot of fun. And it's basically like the post office, but zombies, the post office, but there's just a bunch of zombies coming through different chutes, corpses coming through different chutes, and they're arranged according to size. It would be a great way, I think, to infiltrate the compound, but it would also be, I think, like a maze to navigate. I think it could be a lot of fun in the right campaign.
I think there's so much fun atmospheric play you can do there. And I do love that this location hints to a good place to drop the animated coffin, which I just think is adorable.
The animated coffin is probably my favorite enemy from the ones listed in here. I love that they can like entrap players and kind of lock them up inside. It's like I actually made a coffin mimic once, and so this is like kind of, I feel like, almost the better version of that. Because it's much like the coffin mimic, they have false appearance. You can't tell that it's an animated coffin as long as it's motionless, and then before you know it, it's climbing on the ceiling and swallowing your players.
And that, yes, okay, right here, it's got entrap is one of its attacks, which can grapple you, make you restrained, and then start doing a little bit of piercing damage, so that's creepy.
A little bit of an Iron Maiden situation. And on top of that, if you want to be really horrible, you could technically put a slumbering vampire spawn in it, so that if they open the wrong coffin, they let out the enemy inside and they wake the coffin up. So you could theoretically have like a 2-in-1,
the toy surprise
nesting dolls of enemies within each other. You could put an animated coffin within an animated coffin with a groaning mummy on the inside. You could. Now, if you do that to your players, please don't tell them I told you to do that. But it's the first idea I had was to put a smaller, cuter animated coffin inside the first big animated coffin.
Walk us through sort of the approach to the multi-layered animated coffin.
Well, my first thought was like tricking them into potentially opening it by maybe giving them some sort of hint that in one of these like sort of receiving packages is something that they need to either barter with for the spellcasting services, or maybe someone they're looking for. Maybe one of the NPCs traveling with them is missing and we heavily imply. We could even do a telltale heart situation where you just hear a very enticing sound coming from one of these coffins. Or someone screaming, "Help me." Now, the reason I would veer away from the "help me" is there are some parties that would not go for the "help me," situation. But that would be, because if I was a vampire spawn trapped in a coffin, I would probably scream "help me" to lure prey in, but they wouldn't know that the animated coffin was my friend, and really just really good home security. That's really the best home security for a vampire, is to sleep in an animated coffin.
Yeah, that's just like an awakened bunk
like
bed,
NPC,
really.
Right? Yeah, like a vampire NPC that sleeps in an animated coffin that they've like tamed. I don't know if you could do that rules as written, but the rule of fun.
Absolutely. I feel like we're playing in the mortuary. The rule of cool is going to apply all across this thing. So we know how we're going to bring them in and a challenge that they're going to face on the way and the reason that you're going to have them seeking out these services. Is there like a big finale, or like how will you come out of this adventure?
Well, there's multiple ways to come out of it. I mean, you could have that their way out involves draining the spirit sump, because that's everyone's dream, is to engage in some necromantic plumbing. You might have them having to venture to the Never Vault to maybe, find something or seek counsel with someone to help them. Or you could go with what I find to be one of the funnest ways to enter the mortuary. Technically, you could, I guess, try to figure out a way to use it to get out, which is using mortuary portals. And every mortuary portal has a key that goes with it. So it could be that they have to find an open casket and they need 2 gold coins in order to get back home, which might be another reason why they have to open all of the coffins to find the right one to take them back home. But plot twist, it's an animated coffin with another animated coffin inside. It all comes right back around.
This just sounds like a treat.
I love Halloween, Amy.
Any final thoughts or words of advice for folks tackling this for their own home games?
Have fun and lean into the creep factor.
'Tis the season, after all. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at ThatBronzeGirl everywhere. Really, yeah.
Share your tales of creepy mortuary adventures with us, and we'll see you next time on D&D Beyond.